You probably already know that much of New Mexico is a desert, but if we mention farming and ranching, you may furrow your brow in questioning disbelief.
People have farmed and ranched across the land of enchantment for thousands of years. From the first Native American settlers to grow corn, beans, and squash, to today's multi-million-dollar agribusinesses.
The New Mexico Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum here in Las Cruces documents and commemorates our state's rich agricultural tradition. I'm Cheryl Falstead.
And I'm Bud Russo, and we'll be your guides. The Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum has been a landmark in Las Cruces for more than a dozen years, but it was conceived more than a quarter century ago. Here's Craig Massey, Communications Manager for the museum, to tell us how it all began.
This museum got started it's a vision from Dr. William Stevens, who was the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture with the state, and also Dr. Gerald Thomas, who was the President of New Mexico State University in the 1970s. Both of them had noticed that artifacts and implements and objects from New Mexico's farms and ranches were ending up in museums in other states, especially over in West Texas. And they had this vision to create a museum in New Mexico to keep New Mexico's heritage in New Mexico and to tell our story ourselves. They were both based in Las Cruces, and they got a movement going, a grassroots movement of ranchers and farmers and just other interested parties, and they pushed it along. And the wheels of government run a little slow sometimes, and it took a long time, but eventually they got legislation to provide funding for the building, and it opened in 1998.
Unlike many museums where exhibits are static, the Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum is very much alive. There are, of course, exhibits indoors, but outdoors, visitors find living exhibits in the form of orchards and gardens, plus livestock, horses, cattle, sheep, goats, and one rooster. But that's a story you'll have to ask your tour guide about.
We wondered why there were so many different breeds of animals here and so many different orchards. So we asked Craig.
Well, here at the museum, we're telling a story, and this is an educational museum as well as a history museum. So we want to tell the story of New Mexico agriculture in a lot of different ways. And one of the ways is to show the animals. It makes New Mexico unique regarding livestock, and we want to show everyone the different breeds and where they came from. Every farm is growing things, and we want to be a farm too. We want to show people, demonstrate to people, what farmers do, and the best way to do that is to grow some things ourselves.
Rather than just talk about the museum, let's take a quick tour. As you walk from the parking lot, the cactus garden out front shows the wide variety that grow here.
To your right is the museum tractor exhibit with a group of historic John Deere tractors and other machines. To your left is the Children's Discovery Garden, a play area that teaches about plants and farming.
And just to the left of the Discovery Garden, up the hill beyond the parking lot, is the museum's vineyard, where several varieties of wine grapes are growing.
In the lobby, you'll find a hearth where you can warm your hands in winter, and a wonderful view of the Oregon Mountains to the east, across a courtyard where paving stones are marked with more than 250 livestock brands.
Our first stop is the Heritage Gallery, where you'll find the history of farming and ranching from the Membres people who lived here 800 years ago to the present time.
We've passed the Legacy and Traditions galleries, where there's always an interesting exhibit. The long hallway facing the courtyard also has exhibits you'll want to explore.
However, in the Heritage Gallery, you'll begin with the Membres people and their pit house. The mural depicting their lives was drawn by Anthony Pinnock, based on a design by Troy Lombach, and painted by Jim Billings' scenic design class at New Mexico State University. It represents life as these Native Americans knew it 800 years ago.
As you walk through the gallery, you'll find exhibits on agricultural commodities grown in the Rio Grande Valley, plants dependent on irrigation from the river.
There are dioramas of a farm home, mercantile, and early railroad station, along with a collection of wagons and agriculture-related artifacts.
One of the more fascinating areas is the Generations Gallery, where you can examine intimate photos of men, women, and children of years gone by.
Now let's exit the building through the south door, past the current art exhibit on display. Immediately in front of us is the blacksmith shop, and to our right, the Whitty Cabin, which was first a garage and then a blacksmith shop from the 1920s to the 1950s. It was disassembled in Stanley, New Mexico, north of Moriarty, and brought to the museum in 1998.
Across the yard is the working blacksmith shop, There you may find Billy Province forming nails and forks and other implements just the way smithies did in the mid-1800s. His commentary is as fascinating as his work.
Now we'll cross the Green Bridge, which was originally 3 spans that crossed the Pecos River starting in 1902. One span was moved to the Hondo River in 1944, and then when it was bypassed, the bridge was rescued and brought to the museum.
From the bridge, moving clockwise, we'll visit the Skaggs Dairy Barn with its exhibits of the dairy industry in New Mexico. Their Holstein cows are milked daily at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m.
On the way to the museum's greenhouse, you'll go past pecan and pistachio orchards, 2 nuts that are major contributors to New Mexico's economy. Gardeners in the greenhouse grow plants for the museum's biannual plant sale and also teach gardening classes.
From the greenhouse, you'll walk alongside the pasture, where usually you'll find a couple longhorn steer grazing. During cowboy days, this roping arena is filled with the excitement of competitions that have honed the skills of cattlemen and women for as long as they've been riding the range.
At the far end of the museum are the livestock corrals. There is also the round pen where, during events, spectators are told about the different breeds of livestock.
Now we're heading back toward the entrance. We're here at the Horse and Cattle Barn, where you'll find several breeds of horses, mules, and cattle, along with a couple shy burros. The next building is the Sheep and Goat Barn, with its resident churro and black-faced Suffolk sheep and Angora goats.
We'll end our tour at the Watering Place, a steel sculpture by Armando Alvarez depicting the importance of water in the desert. The sculpture sits in the center of fruit orchards. Be sure to go inside the sculpture to see how the light plays upon the farming and ranching scenes.
You could spend hours enjoying the museum on any regular day, but during special events that explore living history, we know you'll want to stay even longer. Here's Craig to tell us about some of the events.
Our biggest major event is Cowboy Days, and it is the second weekend in March. It's a celebration of the ranching heritage in New Mexico, and we celebrate this heritage in a lot of different ways. We have cowboy music, we have demonstrations.
Hey, I have other plans. Perhaps another day, huh?
No, it's today, right now.
No. How about it? How about now? There. Oh, no. No, senor. Oh,
We have
no.
stagecoach and horseback ride.
Good girl. Good girl. Steady now.
A lot of children's activities and a lot of food. You're going to see a lot of ranching type demonstrations, people on horses. And on May 15th each year, we do our blessing of the fields. It's a tradition in the Mesilla Valley that goes back centuries, actually. And we have a priest come out and bless our animals and bless our crops and our fields. And people walk in a long procession, very colorful with music. And it's just a celebration of the beginning of the growing season. On the 3rd Sunday in July, we have Ice Cream Sunday, because people like ice cream, especially in July when it's hot. And we have a lot of ice cream making demonstrations, living history. We have an ice cream sandwich eating contest. And then in October, we have Ghosts of the Past. And this is our big living history event. Living history is a big thing here at the museum. We want to get people involved in history and experience history, not just see it, but experience it. So people can take indoor and outdoor tours and visit with characters from New Mexico's past. We have actors that are playing parts, and they get to talk to them and learn about the different people and from the different eras in New Mexico's past.
Throughout the year, the museum also features harvest cooking and gardening classes for adults, as well as Southwest art, cowboy life, and rural cooking camps for kids. You can check out the museum's schedule and plan your visit by going to the website www.nmfarmandranchmuseum.org.
The museum is on Dripping Springs Road, a mile and a half east of the intersection of I-25 and University Avenue. It's open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday from noon to 5 p.m. Admission is $5 for adults, $3 for seniors, and $2 for children 5 to 17. Younger children and veterans are free.
This podcast was sponsored by the Las Cruces Convention and Visitors Bureau
And produced by Explore New Mexico.